guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and in this video we're going to talk about the software on the AT&T Motorola Backflip. We've already talked about the Moto Blur interface, and if you want to see that, I'll put a link up at the end of this video. In this video we're going to talk about the web browsing experience, the settings, the camera performance, call quality, and battery life. So we're going to go through all of those things now. Let's start on by turning on the device, and we're also going to talk about, by the way, the keyboard on the back and the touchpad. I'm going to unlock the screen. Now I'm going to open up the keyboard, and you're going to see the widgets reflow when I do that. So here it goes. Takes a minute, but one of the great things about the Backflip is that when you reflow the widgets, when you slide out the keyboard, the widgets actually move on the screen and not become all jumbled and sort of disorderly. Other Android devices have a big problem with this. It's really hard to go from portrait to landscape without the widgets sort of bumping into one another, but here on the Backflip they reflow very nicely. Okay, so let's open the application tray, and we can navigate the application tray. By the way, you saw the little lag of it coming out. Several ways, obviously. We can tap on the icon we want, we can use the D-pad to select, or we can use this touchpad on the back of the screen to sort of move right, left, up, and down. It's a little bit awkward, especially if you have sort of short fingers, to have to reach around behind the screen. Very uncomfortable in some cases, but you get used to it, and you can also select. So let's see, if I tap inward, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There it goes. It will select the item, kind of like a traditional trackpad on a laptop computer. So let's go back here and open up a program. Let's go into the web browser. And it looks like I already have a page loaded here. Let's go to Pocketnow.com. We're over a fast Wi-Fi network right now, so I'm going to click Go. And a note on the keyboard. The keyboard feels a bit awkward to me. I think it's because everything is spread out so much. I'm going to go back into the browser here. The keys are very spread out, and they also don't have a good bit of tactile feel. It almost feels kind of artificial, not like a real keyboard like you would get on, say, the HTC Touch Pro 2 or even the Palm Pixie. It's not really designed for ergonomics. It's designed for, well, design and to look good. And I really don't like that about it. So let me go back to Pocketnow.com. Here we go. And let's see how long that takes over this Wi-Fi network. Okay, I'm watching the progress bar up there to see when it's done. It's going to take some more time. So I can actually move around on the screen now. A little bit laggy. It doesn't have pinch to zoom, of course, so you have to use the manual zoom controls, which is a bit annoying. You can also press these arrows here, which will give you this magnifier-like glass. But again, it's a little bit laggy. Not the best browsing experience. But here we can really see how the touchpad can come in handy. You can reach around the back and sort of just swipe down the page, like so. The idea behind the touchpad is that you don't have to put your fingers on the screen to scroll. But I think that's kind of silly, because when I'm scrolling, I'm not reading anything on the screen. I don't care if I cover anything up. It's when it stops that I want to read the text on the screen. So I don't think it really makes sense to have the trackpad. And even after getting used to it and using it a lot, it's not something that I use. I much rather, use the D-pad here, or even flip it into portrait, which takes a little too long, and just manually swipe with my finger like you would do on any other smartphone. So let's click on a link and sort of drill into this website and see how long things take. Overall, it's a capable web browser. It's just a little bit slow. And to give you an idea of how slow it is, and maybe this is an unfair comparison, let's take out the Google Nexus 1, which of course has a 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, a lot more RAM, and it's an overall much better tuned device with a newer version of Android. But just for comparative purposes, just for fun, let's do this. So here we are with these browsers side by side. They have different browser layouts because they're different versions of Android. And let's go to, say, Engadget's homepage. So we'll type EN, and we're going to use the on-screen keyboard this time. Here they are, and 1, 2, 3. Okay. And this came up extremely fast, almost instantly, although it seemed like it was cached. So let's go to a page, Sony's ultra compact concept camera. And you can really tell the difference in screen resolution here. The Backflip has 480 down and 320 across, whereas the Nexus One is 800 down and 480 across. So you get to see a lot more on the screen at one time. So let's click on this one down here. Okay, that loaded almost instantly. This wasn't too far behind, so we can flick down. We can flick down. It seems that the scrolling on the Google Nexus One is obviously faster, and you've probably noticed by now how much more clear the Nexus One looks than the Backflip, and that's of course because the Nexus One has an AMOLED screen. But let's not do that comparison any longer. It doesn't really make sense to compare apples to oranges here. Okay, so let's get out of this browser, and by the way, just like with any other Android browser, you can click on New Window. You can see multiple windows open at one time, but you saw how cruddy that animation was. It doesn't really handle multitasking of browser windows very well. So I'm going to get out of this and let's go into some other things. So let's go into the settings menu and see what we have there. There's actually a CPU throttling feature, and I'm going to zoom in on the screen so you have a better view. Okay, so we have standard Android stuff here, like manage Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and call settings, ringtones, display and security. Let's go in there and see what we have. So we have screen timeout orientation. So we can have the accelerometer automatically switch the screen rotation. Show animation when opening and closing windows. Definitely want to keep that off. It helps to increase the performance just a little bit. Backtrack. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's probably pressing the back button will go into the previous applications that you are working in. We have brightness, and it does have automatic brightness. Although right now, for some reason, it was down all the way. Very strange. I think that's because I changed the power mode. Visible passwords, kind of standard stuff. Let's get into the battery settings. This is where you can do a little bit of CPU throttling. So battery profile. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. We have performance mode, smart mode, and battery saver mode. I've tested all of these modes. I can't tell much of a difference between these two modes, but when I go from battery saver mode to performance mode, the battery life goes down a lot and the performance doesn't really increase that much, which doesn't really make sense. Overall, keeping this on performance mode, you get about a day and a half of battery life out of this, which is quite good for a smartphone, especially a smartphone with a lot of backlights, especially for the keyboard and these buttons down here. So pretty good with battery life. In terms of call quality, I found call quality to be fantastic. The speakerphone was very loud and very clear. In fact, probably more loud and clear than some of the higher-end HTC devices that we've tested. At maximum volume, the speakerphone did not distort, which is really refreshing to see. Let's take a look to see if we have any other noteworthy applications here. One of the theories on why this device doesn't have Android 2.0 or 2.1, whichever one has the Google navigation, is because AT&T wants to continue to push their AT&T Navigator service. The word on the street is that this will soon get an upgrade to the newest version of Android, so if you're considering the Backflip, know that you will be able to get an upgrade in the near future. And let's go into the photo gallery application. I've taken a few photos here, and of course we can flip into landscape, and hopefully it'll go. There we go. There's always a lag in going into landscape, so we can swipe to the right. Pretty smooth. Zooming isn't so smooth, so if we tap, it's slow, it's choppy, it doesn't look too good. Of course, we can't do multi-touch because it doesn't have multi-touch capability. So you get the idea there. You can swipe and go through all the pictures. And sometimes you get that little animation. I think when you go all the way to the left side, you get a little funky animation there. So that was just a quick look at the software on the Motorola Backflip. Overall, it's pretty much a basic Android install with some Motorola and AT&T stuff slapped on top. In terms of performance and web browsing, it's not so great. It's not up there with some of the other higher-end Android phones, but I don't think that the Backflip is intended to be a high-end Android phone. That said, it has great call quality, it has good battery life, and it's only $99 on AT&T if you are getting a new 2-year contract. So it's an affordable device that works generally well unless you're looking for something that's really high-performing and really has the wow factor. So that was a look at the software on the Motorola Backflip. That's it for now.